Hi. Today I wanted to speak on how to use yoga strategically to impact the most urgent current day aspects of your life as efficiently as possible. Because yes, it's fine to do yoga meditation, fine to be calm, fine to focus on your longevity, calmness, overcoming stress, anxiety, and so forth. But the current pressing problem is either you're unemployed, or you're feeling lonely, or you're feeling aggravated, you're frustrated, or you're feeling stuck in your job, or you're feeling threatened that maybe. And the number one problem, I believe, in many cases, is financial problem, because the economies have declined over the decades to a level where the same person doing the same job, earning the similar, we'll say, hierarchy of income a few decades ago, could do far more than you. So I'll give you a typical example. My father, he started his life in the Department of Justice, and when he graduated high school, there were two levels of high school in the 1950s and 60s. And so the first level of high school was sufficient to start working, get a job. And when he came of the age and completed that level, he went and sought out a job, and that was the requirement for people generally. And he started in the lowest clerical position, admin position in the Department of Justice. And he became established in that, and he got married in that. When he got married in that level, he was able to afford the marriage ceremony itself. He was able to, he had his own car that he was maintaining. And he also, after marriage, he managed to even get his own house through the government housing schemes. And actually, he got multiple houses because he's working in the government. He managed to get an option of, I think, three different houses. And eventually, he tried to keep two, and then the government forced him to choose between, one or the other. And my mother influenced him to choose, I believe, the wrong one, because it was in terms of the square feet or the square meters. It had one extra bedroom, right? The one that they refused and so forth. But anyway, he was able, and there wasn't any question of, cutting down on food items that they needed or anything, right? And they had everything. They had all the furniture, all the appliances. He only needed a fridge, stove, and a radio, because there was no such thing as televisions and so forth those days. And fast forward after my birth, and when I left medical university, and I decided to go into legal internship, and from internship joined the Department of Justice, went into a slightly higher level of position in the Department of Justice, in the admin justice training department, because I'd already had experience in about 2 years experience in internship, legal internship, and I already passed quite a few subjects, in law as well. So with more capabilities, more higher status, and also wanted to get married. It wasn't so easy for me. It took me over a year just to save for the marriage, right? Every month. And in order for me to save, I had to make massive cutbacks. I couldn't afford to live on my own or support myself, right? I had to live, with my parents, or live with family and friends who did not charge me any rent, or did not charge me money for food and so forth. They would feel embarrassed to take money for food, from a family member, or a very close friend. And at that time, I mean, how much could one person eat additionally? And so I used all my money to save for it, and buying a car was out of the question completely. I have to perished the thought, could not afford a car at all, right? And because I said I needed to, if I wanted to, and I wanted to get married, because I found my, perfect, which I believed at that time to be my soulmate. And I was very, I was convinced that was going to be my partner for life, because I had multiple serious relationships prior to meeting her before that. So I was sure that this was the one. She was the one, and it ticked all the boxes for me. Every box, in fact, more than what I could, imagine. It was like, really, will this person really gonna, like the person beyond your dreams, right? So I'm gonna do everything, to do it. And then I said, after marriage, we can rent something. And then, because I was very entrepreneurially minded, I haven't yet stepped into entrepreneur, I always did self-motivating courses, and I believe that, I can make things happen. And I was in private practice, doing internship in private practice before joining the Department of Justice. One of the motivating factors to join the Department of Justice, I thought my father, started on the admin level, and he managed to get married and have a car and provide, a stable foundation for his family. So I would have a pension, I would have a medical insurance, and I'd also be able to do the same thing. I'm just, duplicating success, right? Man, there was a world of difference between my father's time and my time. And although I probably in rank was double his rank when he got married, and but I could not even I think I could not even afford 20% of what he was able to afford, right? And I was thinking, that my entire planning was wrong. How come I'm not managing? And I went through several stages. Of course, successfully got married, but the financial stress of, Charles Dickens in David Copperfield, right? His book David Copperfield, in the beginning, paraphrased, I don't know the exact words, but he says, like, your income is like 10 units, let's say $10, expenses $12 is misery, income $10, expenses $8, happiness, right? So the cost of life, man, was, I would say, 5 times what I was earning. Just basic survival, right? And this is now, we're looking at about more than 3.5 decades ago, right? And that was a good station, good position job. Now we find, if we do statistical analyses of people entering the job market, the 18 to 25-year-old, group, those that went to college and university and coming out, is in a worse of position than those who just graduated high school and trying to get into some form of career and upgrading the skills then. And even now, with the advent of AI, it completely turned the dynamics, right? That people need to adjust to the new dynamics. Is it unsettling, making a worse of situation? I believe that it is an important catalyst to force you into awakening to the fact that you need to change. In order for things to change, you have to change your habits. You can't follow the olden day structure. Everyone feels you need to go to work, and then get a house and make a family, find your soulmate, and have a family. No one can afford. You can be working 10 years, 5 to 10 years, you can't afford to even think of a family, right? And previously, joint income, when you met your soulmate, joint income was able to afford it. No more. Even joint income is out of the question, because you don't know whether the relationship is going to be sustainable. Relationships don't sustain anymore because there's so much of stress and strife that it's affecting even the stability or possibility of relationships, where currently the stats says 60% of people are not in relationships, are not even expected to get into any long-term relationship ever, right? And 40% there are, I believe on average 60 to 70% are expected to get divorced, right? Not even 50%, 60 to 70% are expected that there is not going to work in the long term, right? And things statistically is getting, frightening. So by AI coming in, that is threatening jobs and so forth. So of course AI can't replace a human, impossible, right? They've tried it now. AI is around for a few years already, and there has to be a human because it keeps making mistakes in vital areas that can affect the liquidity and solvency of a company, right? It can make dangerous claims, and if you leave it to communicate independently with clients and communicate, it's going to say things that can put you into legal problems because they're known to lie, right? No matter how upgraded and you can do loop engineering or whatever you can do, it's still making crucial mistakes. You need to be able to check it. You have to have a human that oversees it and use it as a tool to magnify, not to replace, to magnify in order to improve your productivity, be able to do more things than you could normally do before, and so forth. So currently in the job situation, from what I've analyzed, because I keep my finger on the pulse by listening to trending podcasts that are considered authoritative by the scientific and the socio-political community, like leaders, financial giants, consider them as leaders. For example, The Diary of a CEO and the Joe Rogan Experience, my two top favorite podcasts, right? I mean, people would die to go there. It's career changing, right? If someone can, Donald Trump, after he was, he won the election, but not yet sworn into office, he was a guest in the Joe Rogan Experience. And also the wealthiest man on the planet, Elon Musk, was a guest on the Joe Rogan Experience, right? And many leading influencers, guests and experts are amazing guests in Diary of a CEO for Stephen Bartlett's, this thing. And they're discussing contemporary matters. And of course, AI, especially like the difference between Joe Rogan and Stephen Bartlett's Diary of a CEO is that in Diary of a CEO, he's got over 100 staff members that are his team, right? And he's based both in the two major locations, considered two major locations in the world, in Los Angeles and London, right? Leading giants in the English-speaking world, right? England, where English originates from, of course, and London is the center of the zero time zone, or close to the zero time zone, depending which part of the year it is. And Los Angeles, the home of Silicon Valley. And obviously, he had a choice between Los Angeles and New York City. And he, I believe, strategically selected Los Angeles in terms of overhead costs and the average salary cost, because he's still in the growing phase. And if he plans to rent a full building and have 100 staff, and the salary is like 25% more in New York City, so he's cutting his overall overhead by 25%. And with the income levels and the expense levels, it's a significant amount, it's going to affect. So he probably thought he will get into the home of Silicon Valley. Once he's got positive growth, shows confirmed positive foundational growth and a proper foundation, then open an additional office in New York City, the Big Apple, right? And I'm inclined to New York City. Sorry for divert. It seems like I'm deviating from the core subject. How does yoga meditation apply to this? So, what yoga meditation does is makes you definitely, it shows medium to long term within a 6 to 8 week period. That's not a long time, right? 6 to 8 weeks is not very long. So, scientifically proven that your impulsive decisions are affected slightly and significantly. That you're not making an impulsive decision as what you used to make previously. You're not as reactive. You're not making decisions reactively, but you're pausing before you make a decision. That, split second pause before you can do it is all you need. That split second it can save your life. That split second faster that you can apply your foot on the brake pedal, which is what it's used for, it can save a pedestrian's life, right? And they found that it can help up to 2 seconds within a 6 to 8 week period, in that pause. And all you need is a split second, right? So that pause, when someone is frustrating you, that pause before you lash out is going to make the difference between how professional you are perceived and you maintaining and sustaining and growing in contracts. I'll give you an example from a financial, how that worked for me, right? In a multi-billion-dollar situation. So I was trying to build myself in commercial real estate brokerage in Dubai, and about 9 years the dry patch, right? Because it is an international market. I came from originally from South Africa. I was the leader, right? A giant, a big fish in a small pond. In South Africa, I was struggling for 6 years, and then when I made it, earning about $1 million equivalent value, a month in a small country like that. When I went to Dubai, people, when they didn't even know the name of my country, right? They didn't know there was such a country as South Africa. They said, okay, where are you from? South Africa. Which country? In South Africa. I said, no, the actual name of our country is South Africa. So they thought when I'm saying South Africa, I'm referring to the southern part of Africa, one of the countries there. I said, no. Then I have to remind them that it's a country of Nelson Mandela. Whenever I said Nelson Mandela, everyone heard of Nelson Mandela. That country. I say, yes, that country. They haven't even heard. Overwhelming number of people. Yes, some people heard of it, but I would say a lot of people. I was surprised that they never even heard of my country, right? And they all say, oh, you are Indian. And I say, I'm not Indian, right? Yes, there are Indian forefathers that came to South Africa about 7 generations prior to me. Many people from my community identify as Indian, but biologically and legally it does not make sense, because once you're more than 4 generations in a country, there isn't any major law that says this. But when you're trying to prove that you are native of a country, you're proving your parents, your grandparents, your great-grandparents were born, in that country. You are established as a citizen, So in your passport, country of origin, you're not going to say India, you're going to say South Africa. But also it's a multicultural country where people intermarry, right, over the generations. When they intermarry, because many other race groups came in, Chinese people were brought in, Malaysian people were brought in, and the indigenous native people were there, and French people, and Italian people, and Portuguese people, and the Dutch people, ruling class people. And there is a mixed race, established mixed race people, which was a very high level of population, significantly high population, right? Which formed, at that time, I would say about 25% of the population. Before they brought in other cultures into South Africa, about 160 years ago or something, right? So people intermarrying, and so you're mixing your genetics, right? It's not pure, right? There are people in my family members, if you see them, you would say this is a Zulu person, right? And there are other people in the family members, you see them, this is a white person, right? And this is a European person, right? And in the younger days, my father could have passed or could have mingled easily and accepted into the European community as very light in skin complexion, and they were, people of Caucasian origin were darker in complexion than him, and the eye color was not the usual brown; it was a lighter shade, and there are people who had grayish eyes and greenish eyes and so forth, like you get in north of India as well, in Kashmir, right? You get blue-eyed people. Blue eye is the benchmark for Aryan or Caucasian descent because it is a passive gene, right? Any other eye color will trump blue eye color. You must have both parents. The gene from both must be blue eye color in order for the child to be blue. So of course, maybe the dormant from each one eventually created that one. So if any person with any other eye color who's got zero dormant blue eye color in their genetics marry a blue eye color person, their child is impossible going to have a blue eye color, as long as, because maybe the dormant gene in the father and the blue-eyed mother, he had a blue-eye dormant gene in him, although he had brown eye color showing it. So he's one of the two genes. So the passive gene, the blue eye color gene, combined with his wife's blue eye. Of course, both the genes for eye color is blue-eyed, right? Because they work in pairs. One gene is from your mother and one gene is from your father, right? Going slightly into genetics and trying to remember my medical school days, and so forth. So biologically, it's impossible that. So all I have to do is go for a genetic test, and then you're gonna see that even the people who's calling themselves Indian, right, especially in north of India, but I would say the whole of India, you're gonna find a lot of Mongolian genetics there, and probably British, English Saxon, right? So there isn't a British gene, there isn't an English gene, there is probably Saxon and the Scottish and the Welsh genes, right? Going backwards, right? So genetics is actually, when I discuss the subject with AI, it's more a social construct. Races are a social construct. And from a yoga meditation perspective, I believe that people who identify as black and as brown and Indian and so forth, this is people, it's a psychosis, right? And it's something that developed in the last few hundred years, not thousands of years, right? Last few hundred years. I mean, how long is human civilization existent, right? And you have to not allow the social constructs to. So coming back to the story, right, in Dubai, and people this thing, of how the slight nuance of thought made a massive multi-billion-dollar difference, right? So there were many things in my life that made a difference, right? But let me refer to the one incident. So I was specializing in renting premium retail spaces in high-end malls, right? So, for example, let's say the Dubai Mall or Mall of Emirates, right? So someone wanted a premium. Anyone can get a space in any mall, but you want a premium space where there's a lot of foot traffic. You don't want in a passage where there's no one passing you by, right? Okay, you got a space in the Dubai Mall. It's the world's, highest foot traffic mall. But if it's in an unknown passage that people are not walking past, they're not going to know. It's pointless, and you're paying the same rent as everyone else. It's not going to work out. You want to be in an area where your concept is enhanced by other major brands in your niche, right? So if you selling perfumes, you want to be maybe a local perfume company, or trying to build your brand, but you with Armani and Dolce and Gabbana and Yves Saint Laurent and Chanel is surrounding you. It's gonna and maybe you are Rasasi perfume, right? Rasasi, as an example, right? You want to You want to be amongst that, right? So I'm able to get the right type of spaces, and also to get into the Dubai Mall, people are major brands are in long waiting lists. That you could be. There was one major brand, one of my clients. He was in the clothing, fashion clothing, boutique fashion clothing, right? Massive stores, with beautiful clothing and so forth, and three generations, right? The owner comes from a Kuwaiti family, very prominent, wealthy family, and Kuwait, is one of the, I think, the strongest currency in the world, I believe, Kuwait currency. And very wealthy people are coming from Kuwait, and he's third generation, the owner, and he's got his stores in multiple countries, right? Dominating in the Middle East, of course, and I'm not sure whether in the Western world as well, but in Dubai itself, because my focus was in Dubai only, in Dubai itself, he was already established in 14 different malls, but he was not present in the two major malls, the most important ones. And he was on when I met the person who was the highest managerial or highest executive, the title was general manager, but he was the highest executive, directly reporting to the owner in Kuwait, right? And he mentioned that they were 5 years on the waiting list, despite having 14 stores in the other considered major malls, right, in Dubai, but the two highest malls, it could not be in, like the Mall of Emirates and the Dubai Mall, right? So before the Dubai Mall was built, the Mall of Emirates was the number one mall. It's got the famed ski Dubai, right? That slope, and it's minus 20 degrees Celsius. Of course, it's still there. And so it's got all the major brands and so forth. And it was my second favorite mall because I went to Dubai before the Dubai Mall was built, right? And that was the mall I used to go to, and all the major brands that I want to, shop in. And I loved my watches, especially, like the Rolex and Patek Philippe and Omega. I really loved Omega the most, and I loved Rolex because of its identity in Dubai, especially in major circles. They judge you by the type of suits that you wear, how you dress, your perfumes that you use, and your shoes and your watch, especially your watch, right? Makes a big difference, right? If you got like a Breitling or a Patek Philippe or a Omega or a Rolex watch, and what you drive as well, right? What car key, but especially your watch makes a big difference, and the type of suits. So all these things make, and I following all the rules, and I was having difficulty breaking and becoming financially free, like a financial freedom that I enjoyed in my own local country, earning $1 million a month, right? And yeah, I was living like struggling financially, right? Yes, lived in a decent apartment and so forth, lived like how a manager would live and so, but not millionaire status, right? Or billionaire status. And that was the reason I came. And working very hard, then I came across this client, and they engaged my services, they wanted a certain space. Then we signed a memorandum understand, MOU, memorandum of understanding, that once it's successful, they will pay the commission, right? So usually what they struggle 5 years to get an approval, I can get an approval normally within 2 weeks. But usually it's not uncommon for me to get the approval in principle within 48 hours, right? To get it in writing itself, within 2 to 4 weeks or something, right? Official written approval, which people it's like, as long as their brand is good, and I had the right person, to a really an expert professional that through networking and working very hard, managed to find that. And I don't go into that part of it, how I found him, through the 9 years of, being consistent and not losing hope and not losing faith and working hard and being practical, using a multi-pronged approach, and doing things for my cash flow, selling small electronic items, making 10 dirham, which is like $3 per item, right? and selling like an average 10 to 20 of those together with my prospecting for my real estate brokerage company, selling laptop cooling fans, right? I was making 10 dirham profit and selling about 15 to 20 of that, about 150 to 200 dirham a day, right? And then from that upscale to selling uh, um, blood pressure monitors. Someone had excess blood pressure, portable blood pressure monitors that he didn't know what to do with it. He had a lot of, because I was selling these laptop cooling fans. And that is just to make the money every day so that I have money for food and petrol and a little bit of money to pay towards my rent if I can make a little bit of commission here and there. Meet someone who needed something and I knew someone who could supply that something and make a small, a broker in anything that people wanted. Because I'm networking through cold calling companies and establishing relationships with people by having a pleasing personality and patience and calmness. And you can't have a pleasing personality if you're not self-assured and happy in yourself. If you're stressed and worried about life, that I'm struggling financially and so forth, and I'm alone, I don't have any relationship, no one wants to know me, and focusing on the negative and so forth, and how are you going to come across as positive? But you sitting in mindfulness practice and going into calm and this thing, you're feeling amazing, you're feeling good, you're practicing your yoga, you're feeling absolutely, you're not feeling stressed, although life is stressful, right? You understand that you're going through a dip in life, right? So these mindfulness practices help in that very difficult, that what else can I do, right? I mean, I can't go and kill myself, number one, right? That is not a option for, not a logical option in any. So I believe that as long as we are human, we are one of the most ingenious creatures survival creatures on the planet, right? The fact that we in the past 100 years quadrupled our population is an attestation to that, right? And how advanced we are from all the biological creatures, on the planet. I mean, we are flying, we are wearing different types of clothes, we are living in buildings, creating architectural buildings, wonders, and vehicles, and and so forth. Amazing, right? Human. So we know how to survive, right? That we will find, as long as we want to survive, and we don't give up the hope, don't give up the struggle, right? Find out what are every day when I'm in a very difficult situation, right? Now I come to a point where I go, no, I haven't had any cash flow in a very long time, right? What do I do? What are the options open to me today? Or what should I do logically, right? Of course, there are 1,000 things I could do, but I can't do 1,000 things, right? Because time, I have limited time. And in that time period, I need to produce a certain result, right? Otherwise, my children are going to starve to death, right? I need to put food on the table. I have to go negotiate with the municipal services and pay a percentage of my services because I can't afford the full amount, right? And try my best that the children getting the best possible education, irrespective of my struggles, that they shouldn't, be in a struggling, also be given edge in terms of the education when they are becoming independent. Give them all the tools that they're going to require, right? So you're thinking about so many thousands of things, and you're pressurized, you are having difficulty for cash flow, which is what everyone is facing. You're unemployed. So when I was struggling with income, I said my job is, when I'm unemployed, that I must look for employment. That is my job, right? Not sit. If you're going to sit depressed, you're not going to get. Yes, the job market is impossible. So I got a friend. He's on benefits, and he says, "Look, there's no jobs available," and he's got psychosis and diagnosed with so many severe psychoses, and he's on medication for life, and he was institutionalized for a long time. And he did, during the time that I recently got to know him, he started a job, but he was informed that he must not sit down, he must be standing in his station. And he was feeling tired and he sat down, and he knew he was being observed by camera, and that was immediate dismissal, right? And he got dismissed within the first few days of him attempting, but his subconscious brain was telling him that he was better off on benefits than working in that low-level job, because if he came out of benefits, the amount of money he was going to get paid was less than what he's going to, because on benefits his accommodation was free, and once he comes off benefits he has to pay for his accommodation, right? And when he had to pay for his accommodation and his food and his spending, the amount of money he was getting was going to be about 10 to 20% less while working. Then, so who don't want the benefits, right? That's just how he's thinking. So compare my thinking. I am just lost my eyesight 3 years ago, right? And I was in Turkey when I lost my eyesight, and my friend owned a hotel, right? And he said, look, Osman, the Turkish government is very helpful, and I can help you to get a disability residency, because you lost your eyesight in the country. You qualify a big chance because you lost your eyesight in this country, that they need to help you and, support you and so forth. And I will get the type of income which was quite comfortable, right? If I got that income, right, for free from the government, I could rent an independent apartment and pay for my living expenses and still have spending money and not need to work for the rest of my life, right? I told him, no, I don't want to take charity. I would rather work. So in that case, it was around 10,000 in that currency, right? It was quite strong at that time. And the rent I could get around 2,000, right? 2 to 3,000 per month. And my food expenses was no more than around 1,000 a month, right? So 50% of my income would have covered my rent, independent apartment, right? I had an apartment on the highest level, depends how you find an apartment, with my own massive balcony, my own kitchen, my bedroom, and also the highest floor, in a good central location as well, right? And I have 50% of money extra to sing. I said, no, I will work, and the money I earned was in the same currency, 50 per day, right? And living in the hotel, sleeping on like a bed space, shared space, right? Which means I don't have my own privacy and so forth, right? Living with 8 to 10 other people, right? Sleeping in a bunk bed, not in my own apartment, and making 50 per day. 50 is 1,500, because that was enough for my food, right? That I needed, because I'm on a special diet, like I have a lot of, leafy greens and cruciferous vegetables and unroasted, unsalted peanuts, and my variety of fresh fruit and, and things like that, that I'm not, although, I could get the free food from the hotel and so forth. And eventually I upgraded myself to higher levels and got my own independent room, in that hotel as well, and left and took my own apartment as well, while the thing. But I didn't want to take money for free, right? I said, I rather, instead of begging for money, is going to make me not push to work hard, right? I rather be penniless, homeless, and not take government benefits than to rely on government benefits. Then when I came to my own home country, people already said, okay, you're blind, you qualify for benefit, just go, you're going to get it. Within a month or a month and a half, you're going to have enough money. I don't even have to pay rent, because my family home, that my mother owns, the family home, there's no mortgage on it or anything. And she is paying the services and so forth. I don't even have to pay for services. And the money I get is more than enough, to live very comfortably. And and I'm the sole descendant, right? I'm the only child. So I will, inherit it for free. And I just told my mother, no, I don't want it really. But I'm the only one, so, I'm the only beneficiary. And I want to give it to my late brother's son, right? So, but he's still young and a little bit foolish in his head. And my mother is worried, that he may just take a mortgage or sell it or something. And she spent her blood, sweat and tears, to free that particular property, working very hard and being, there's a lot of emotion attached to it. So I said, no, don't worry, I'll make sure that he lives in it and, he's, taken care of. He will never be homeless. And he's a bit impetuous and, doesn't even want to visit the property and so forth and doesn't want to talk to me and, all that. And I don't understand why, right? I never said anything to him but I keep it this thing and protect it. But I'm refusing to do that, right? And coming back to the story, this client, right, and this mall, so they wanted the space, and we agreed what the commission is going to be. So, and I got the approval, right? He tried everyone and everywhere he couldn't get, and a lot of people lied to him and cheated him that they're going to get the approval, and he wasted his time. But with me, I said, I'll get it in this time, I'm doing X, Y, Z. And according to how I said, I'm doing things. Within this time, I'll get an approval. And I got an approval. And I did get the approval in principle. And I gave him the thing. And what the client can do is, before paying the commission, once you got the approval in writing from the mall, they can go directly to the mall management. I got the approval. Here's the thing, and work directly with the mall after that. And the mall say, okay, yes, it's from the mall. It's an official approval. And why must they pay us our commission, right? And our commission is on a premium level. At that time, it was like about $500,000 dirham, like about 120,000 US dollar, right? Which was reasonably significant and which they can avoid paying. So why should they pay it when they don't have to pay it? So it's a common thing to cut out the middleman, right? So, and that's what the person who approached me was a broker. It was his client that he was representing, right? His client was from another country, right? I don't want to mention the country in which the client and who this person is. And he said the client went directly to the mall, right? But really, I believe he himself went and tried to cut me out so that he can get 100%. Cut me out completely. Why should he pay me? I think he was charging them 1.3 million or something, and I was charging 500,000 dirham, right, in dirham value. And then why must he pay me the 500,000 dirham? He cut me out, he'll get the whole 1.3 million. So he'll go with the approval directly. And of course, with my contacts and connections, I am very well established. I took long to get established in relationships. And the guy who got it, he said, this guy is coming and trying to cut you out. They knew I had a very professional person, was officially a representative, allowed to represent himself, in the management, that found out about this, that all our commissions will be cut out. And it was not a confirmed approval, but it's an approval in principle that there was a discretion to cancel it. So when they saw these people try to cut me out, they canceled the approval. And they did try as they may. So I knew that they tried to bypass me. I said, okay, they tried to cheat me. That's their loss, right? That they're not going to be able to. I mean, if they didn't try to cut me out, they could have got so many other clients later, and I could have got approvals for them for all the clients. And they had multiple, concepts that needed approval. So we could have been getting business, like every year, and had a very comfortable income. Well, myself, I could have been making a comfortable living, right? About 500,000, at least a 6-figure income in US dollars, minimum, guaranteed every year, right? As a passive income stream, right? And so when they tried to cheat me, they felt embarrassed but they told me that it wasn't them, it was the client who went. And then they came back to me and they pleaded. Please, the client is pleading. He'll even give me upfront, the money, the commission upfront. I said, it's not about the money. You broke the trust of a lot of people, and we can't, for this particular concept, get the approval. This concept is being blacklisted. So you bring another concept, and I will say it's a total different client, right? So they don't know which broker is involved, right? That I'm getting it through this particular broker. I said, bring another, because we're working only with the concept and a company name. Get another company name, I'll help you. So they felt that I'm just using polite words not to the thing. So they came across another fast forward a year later, right? they came across, they try as they may, they couldn't get the approval, and they knew the only person who was honest in Dubai. And I managed to earn a name after about 10 years or so as the only person in commercial real estate brokerage that's the honest person, right? By many of the clients that they phoned me and said, Osman, you're the only person that I know is honest. If you say you got something, you got something. If you say you haven't got it, you haven't got it. If you say the price is this, the price is this. If you say it's not that, it's not that, right? And they will trust me only. And they get it, and then they still cheat me. They cut me out in paying the commission. And I don't fight them. I didn't take them to court, or I could take them to the real estate regulatory authority. I could report them, right? Because I've got written brokerage agreements, right, that they broke and insist on my commission, right, to be paid out. So I never sued another person. And this particular client that tried to cut me, in this deal where I got this approval and we blacklisted that client, I never took legal action, right, against them or anything. I never blacklisted them or blacklisted the client. This is the client. That concept couldn't get approved because the concept became known. They said as long as this management is there, they're not going to approve because they don't like to bring people into their establishment who use underhanded means because they are a world-class mall, right? They pride themselves on having the best concepts and the best top of the top companies in the world, right? In their mall. They don't want unscrupulous mafia type of people, in their mall, right? And so forth. So fast forward a year later, the same brokers, it was a group of 3 friends. One was Palestinian, 2 was Egyptian, right? And so they came, they sent another friend who just called me on the phone, say, Osman, we've got this concept and guaranteed. I said, unlike before now, I need at least a down payment, like a token deposit. Put 20,000 down, 500,000. Still my price is low, in the market. But yes, I can get the approval, and they know I can get the approval. When I say I can get the approval, I say before I can get it, send me the concept, send me the business plan, and I will see. Give me 1 or 2 days if it's possible. I check it and I check with my connections and so forth. I call them, yes, I can get it, but put 20,000 down as a token deposit before I can start. They put it down, right? And when they put it down, and then before they put it down, they met with me face to face, not on the phone, to give me the 20,000. And they said, how come you are helping us though we cheated you? I said, no, I'm a business person. In business, you have to be like an ATM machine, right? The ATM machine, before you try to put in the wrong PIN number and you try to withdraw money that is not there in your account, right? And you try to hack the system. And then later you come back with a real card with real money in it. The ATM machine is not going to, as long as there's money in your account, it's going to give you money. If there's no money, it's not going to give you money. So you came, my job is to get approvals, not to take personally what happened in the past, right? And hold it personally against you. Maybe you learn from that experience, or maybe it's the client's fault, maybe it's I don't know, right? My job is, anyone comes to me, this is my job. I am a mediator for this thing. If you're going to cheat me, it's up to you. I've tried to take preventative measures, which I later, instead of just having an agreement, put a token deposit as a preventative, as a token of good faith, right? And, and then they also tried to cheat me after that, right? The same client. Once a cheater, always a cheater, right? We can't take a black cat and make it a white cat. But they were surprised that I agreed and I took it and I got the approvals, and they were, they wanted, they didn't like what I got approved for them, and they wanted something more premium. And of course, I got the more premium approved. And but of course, you want something more premium than what I got them, something premium. They wanted something the highest premium, right? Location, and I got them the highest premium location, but it's not for free, right? There's a higher cost attached to it, and this is a multi-billion-dollar company, right? For them, what they have to pay is peanuts, but they feel they're going to make me rich, right? That I'm asking, for so much, and we are being too greedy, and so forth. And it's something market related, I believe, right? And they refused to pay, and then they wanted a refund of everything that they paid for. And we put in writing that whatever you pay for, it's there's no refund on it, right? And you can't get it. But they like bullying me. No, they want the money back, right? I said, look, these are costs and different levels. Whatever you pay, there's no refund on it. There's no going back on it. So they decide to cancel because they believe they can do something another way, and they're gonna. And then they said no, they're gonna go and put a criminal case against me and so forth, and open charges and so forth. And then they did that, right? And then of course they opened a criminal charge, and then the case was presented, and I explained to the prosecution, right, what is the situation. And I'm just a broker. I'm not doing anything illegal. I'm not bribing anyone in the mall or anything. I'm not doing any illegal activity. And they just, became sour, right? And they just want to enforce the authority and do anything, to get things. And they dropped the charge. The charges got dropped, right? In that particular instance, right? But I didn't panic. I didn't go in this thing. And the same client who cheated me once, I was calm. I didn't have hatred for him, right? I am divorced now 6 times in my life, right? And all of the 6 people, I can pick up the phone and have a conversation with them as though they are still my soulmate, right? I have, so of course I don't do that. Some of them moved on and they've remarried and so forth. I don't have any hatred in my heart for any of them, right? So many people, when they get divorced, it's like they hate this person, they hate the guts, and they're still living with that hatred in the heart, right? The enemy did the worst things. There are people that did very bad things to you, right? Because I'm earning big amounts of money and doing big deals. Deals can go wrong, and there's mafia type of people get involved, and when they lose, they hold everyone involved in that line that they're going to kill not only every person involved, they're going to also kill that people's entire family, including the goldfish, right? You meet people like that because they got so much of ego, they want to destroy you online. I don't hold it against them. I said, I'm in business. I'm in international business. People are smearing me, online and in Google, and, opening a whole Facebook page, putting all, slurring things that presenting me to be the cheater number 1 and criminal number 1 on the planet, right? The biggest scam artist on the planet. And I say, okay, this is, we're living in the 21st century. Everyone has a right to his opinion, right? And if he has a right for, people have a right for hate speech, I'm going to right to sue him as well. But I'm advanced in yoga meditation. So for me, the amount of energy that I have to spend to sue him and so forth, I'd rather use that energy to create new business. Yes, it's going to impact maybe 80-90% of the masses no longer going to trust me. It's okay, no problem. I don't let money control me, but I do have the 20%, because 80% of your income comes from 20% of your customers. So people, I establish a strong relation, who know me, know that I'm not going to ever cheat them. How can someone get enlightenment experience at the age of 19, having multiple samadhis, advanced in yoga meditation, daily can go into going around lying and cheating to people? When people who speak to me and get to know me, they know, I'm not going to do that. I'm talking from, I know what I'm saying and doing. And even like with my energy healing and so forth, I say my success rate currently in the last 50 years is 90%. I specialize in terminal illnesses and critical care recovery, right? And of course, the AI pushes back. They say, this is impossible. You're supposed to be getting the Nobel Prize. And with energy healing, it's a natural method. I said, yes, I've got thousands of clients. Yes, it's not the normal thing. And I'm not claiming, I don't say it's a replacement for medical treatment. I always insist people must have medical treatment in conjunction with there hasn't been any client that I'm treating that was not under medical treatment. But where medical treatment failed, the medical, very often people, the medical field the patients were in ICU, intensive care unit, and there's a DNR, do not resuscitate, and they expected that the person is going to pass away within the next 48 hours, right? And may live at best a few days, right? And not expected to recover. So many people walked out of the hospitals 10 days later from that situation, right? I've got so many cases over the past 50 years, in that, and I'm keeping count, right, of the number of cases that I do and my success rate. And in my and over 50 years, over thousands, I don't know how many thousand, right? Not a million customers, right? Not 100,000 customers. I don't know, but not 100 customers. So could it be 1,000 or few thousand? Yes, it could be around there, And I'm not here to get testimonials from clients and record it, put the video up, and get from my customers' testimony. No, I don't want to piggyback off other people's success. I don't want you to come to take my service because I succeeded in someone else. I say my success rate is very high, but still every person is still 50-50. When a real client comes to me, I've got, like, for example, in terminal illnesses, I would estimate about 98% success rate, right, in my estimation. But I don't say that to that particular client. I say still, although statistically, but what if you're part of the 2%, right? Still, there's no guarantee for every person. They say, okay, you're charging, is there a guarantee? And in your website, you got so many testimonials, and now I said, no, I'm going to put a disclaimer that I don't guarantee success. And I want the person to sign it. Right? That yes, I'm long-standing, and why people trust me is because I'm passionate about energy healing. I spend 8 to 10 hours a day, every day, just sharpening the sword, right? Although I can do it, I don't need to spend so many. I just need to spend half an hour a day. 20 minutes a day is sufficient, right? I'm spending 8 to 10 because to improve my skill level, to keep going higher and higher, and because I don't want the 2% failure. I feel so hard about the 2% failure. I want 100% success rate, right? I want to, this thing, even if the patient, 99% of my clients never paid me, right? I never sued a single person for the money. And I would say over 90%, maybe 99%. I would say 90, I think to go as far as to say 99.99% of the clients that I helped never say, Osman, thank you for helping me. That's all, they never even say that, leave alone. They felt some of them paid me some pittance. I don't deserve what I'm asking for and so forth. And I never used to really force the amount. And then eventually I said, no, I must put a figure. I believe this is the value of it. Pay it. I must have self-respect. But before, I wanted to help to save people's lives. But in saving their life, I'm risking losing my own life. I came to the point risking my death and near-death experience. I had multiple near-death experiences in trying to help, save other people's lives, and got zero thank you, zero payment. Forget the zero payment, not even a thank you, from that. I'm not hating them. I never hate this client. So what actually happened, when that client refused to pay me and didn't pay me and started to sue me, nothing happened to me, and I still went and became successful and got other clients and this thing, and I'm still happy in myself, making money, making an average of, like, not a big amount of money, compared to what I believe I could have been, about $10 million a year, right? Like, to a lot of people it's considered a lot, but considering my experience level and what I've been able to earn, about a decade before that, and the amount of energy I put in, the potential what people could earn in that field, but I leveraged my income, and then using brain smart, during the worst crisis period, leverage my asset levels, and my asset level is multi-billion dollar, going through all these things. And although in the last 18 months, right, I had a discussion with Claude this morning, right, as a as a sounding board, right? As a sounding board. I use them as a sounding board. I think about everything. I don't ask the AI to help me to make my decision strategically because they are AI. They can't be on the level of intuitive decision making capability of a human. Every human is connected to energy, to his own inner magic. Everyone got an inner magic in them that your decisions can make a difference. You know, in in controlling particles, quantum physics has proven that with a mind observing the particles that's being shot in the 1920s through two split, you know, the split diagram where they were shooting, you know, particles through that or electrons through it, that when you had an observer there, the observance, the energy of the observance influences and controls and can manipulate particle. If the mind is proven to be able to control particle on the quantum level and particle level, right? Because they found that every particle has got a dual nature. It's got a particle nature and a wave nature. That it can go, when you go deeper and deeper, it's no more there's no particle, there's nothing. It can't be measured, right? It's like so magical, but it's observed. So if one particle observes it, then obviously means that when you're talking to the chair has got some consciousness. It's listening to you. I mean, the particle, one particle listen, then a million of them will listen. You know, what is good for the goose is good for the gander, right? Right? What works, you know, for one thing, you know, repetitively means a collection of it is going to work for it, right? But it's just that the chair we tell you to rise is not going to go floating in the air, right? But yet people who practice in refining the power of the mind are able to control outcomes. They can bend spoons. You know, it's been known as unexplained phenomena, right? Where people can predict certain things and manipulate manipulate nature and manipulate particles and so forth. So coming back to the situation, that singular incident where I still took that client on and I made a little bit more money and I still got the approval, right? And they threatened me and so forth. I said, no, no problem. You know, and they felt that I will budge under their pressure and I will crumble and, you know, and beg them for mercy. No, bring a bullet, put it to my gun. I will still stand by my principles. I will pull the trigger. They say, if you're not going to talk, I'm going to shoot you. I say, see, pull the trigger, right? I'm not, to save my life, going to go against my principles. I stick to my principles, no problem. Because in part of yoga meditation, we believe that there is an element of destiny. Yes, we have a choice. We can't go and just sit and money is going to fall out. We have to work hard for money. The harder you work, the more successful is it possible for you to be, right? Not guaranteed, right? But the harder you work, the luckier you get, right? I believe in that luck plays a role. So when you're having very difficult, just continue working extremely hard and luck is going to favor you, because the harder you work, the luckier you get, right? Now, and I'm very calm. All I know is I'm following a formula. I'm working very hard, right? And I'm calm. I'm now, as I'm talking to you, I'm totally calm. I'm totally peaceful, totally relaxed. But the conversation I had this morning with Claude, I said, look, I'm spending so much of time in the last 12 months. Today is the 23rd of August as I'm making this video. On the 4th of August last year, I was eventually able to consistently upload video content to my YouTube channel. The idea was within 3 to 6 months, I would have sufficient audience that even only with the monetization, I would have a foundational level of independent income. And I don't need, I'm a person who lives simply, right? Although I have a high asset value and so, I don't need more than a few $100s to survive, right? My food expenses a month is around $20 a month, currently, right? to feed myself, to survive. I don't, and if I had $1 million, not going to go, maybe I may go, but that's all I need, right? I need my cabbages or broccoli or this thing, and I've got my flax seeds, and I've got my raw unsalted peanuts, and I've got my variety of this thing, and I have my few variety of fruit, and I have my citrus fruits and so forth. It doesn't go more expensive. It's not very expensive, to maintain, and I don't need to pay, rent. I can live very simply, and so forth, right? And but within 3 to 6 months of creating unique content, because even as I'm speaking, I'm talking from experience, right? In my field, with 50 years of experience, creating my own simplified, science-based adjustments and modifications to the yoga meditation protocols that has been tried and tested by teaching students over the last 45 years across over 100 countries, right? That it works, right, from my experience. And I'm giving that. And that information is not getting viral. And after about 4 or 5 months, I found I had 23 subscribers, right? And then I knew for things to change, I got to change. I need to make some change. So they want this thing. Then Notebook LM came out, AI. I said, okay, let me use the power of AI and create before using AI, I said, okay, instead of just creating my videos and my passion and the information and the content, let me also create shorter videos, like the less than 5 minute videos and so forth. So I created 2 long form videos, 2 videos more than 20 minutes, only between 30, 45 minutes up to an hour, right? 30 to 60 minute videos, 2 of that per day, and take snippets of it, because I could not do clips because I'm blind and no one to help me. I don't know how to use it, and learning to use all these things. So I said, okay, why should I focus on creating clips? And I don't have money to subscribe to the software that can do it on a paid version. I didn't know which free software. And there is CapCut, but it was not friendly for, I'm using voiceover, to read. And it doesn't read the buttons and so forth. So I can't use it. So as a blind person, I couldn't use. So I said, okay, why should I go try to cut the video? I know what I spoke. It's my own video. I'll just say, I'll give summaries of 5 different or 3 or 4 different aspects in under, 2 to 5 minute videos. And I started to create that, shorter videos and longer form videos, like 20-minute videos, 45 to 60-minute videos, and 5-minute videos, 10 of that, every day consistently. And I reached several hundred, videos. And statistically, according to ChatGPT and so forth, I've started to pick up. And when I saw only 23, subscribers, I said I need to do something different. When Notebook LM, this came out. And I saw in my email, try it out for free and so forth. And I tried, I said, this is amazing. So in addition to my original videos, I did deep dive from the AI. And I said, let me give it time, right? And until about 2 weeks ago, doing an average, so I reached 1,100 videos, right? Just about a month ago, right? And so how many subscribers? It was like 67 subscribers. And then I said, no, that is not work. Maybe the people not. And I found the AI deep dives are absolutely amazing because it's putting my original content in a very structured form, and I'm giving it prompts to give backup from science for what I'm saying. And it's bringing in the evidences. So it's evidence-based from an AI and very authentic and scientific. But the market was not adjusting. I said, let me have patience. So over 1,000 somewhat videos now going to be 12 months, right? And currently today, 23rd August, it's 74 subscribers. I said, no, I can see the pattern, right? That if I'm going to continue on this, now reach 10,000 videos and so forth, right? So I've got a plan that within the next 5 years, I can reach 10,000. If I do 10 a day, I'm going to reach 10,000 videos within a 4-year period, right? And with 10,000 videos, I'm going to easily reach over 1,000 videos, 1,000 subscribers. Maybe I'm going to reach 10,000 videos and have 250 subscribers. It's going to be from the trend that's going on, right? I said, no, let me work on Another strategy, I'll just work with what my heart says, right? Forget about the algorithms, forget about trying to monetize. Let me just create my long form video, right? And what I like. I don't like, personally, I will not, if there's a 5 minute video, I will never watch it, right? I don't watch TikTok at all, right? I want, if a video is less than an hour, I don't want to listen to it, right? It must be 1.5 to 2 hours. This is why I love the Joe Rogan experience, and the Diary of a CEO is like 1.5 to 2 hours, and the Joe Rogan experience is 2.5 to 3 hours. And Buddha the Gas Pump is like 1.5 to 2 hours as well. So these are like my favorite part. Sean Ryan show is like sometimes average 3 hours, right? 2 to 3 hours. Sometimes there was one or two podcasts that was 4 5 hours. One was 4 hours, one podcast, right? And I love this deep, nuanced discussion on a topic, going deep into a conversation. Even I have a daily human to keep in touch with the human, so that I'm not focused only on work, that I'm speaking to, I speak to a friend every day. Average 2 hours, the conversation is on average, and very often we speak 3 hours and so forth. It's not uncommon for me to have an 8 hour conversation, right? And there was one person that I spoke to, actually, the longest conversation that I had non-stop was 72 hours, right? So this was because it was a friend of mine. He owned a transport company doing long distance trips, and it's 36 hours just to do a return trip. And of course, he had employees and many vehicles, but there was a very important client with a very important load, and all his vehicles were out, and he had a spare vehicle. He used his personal vehicle as a backup for an emergency. And when he had to use his personal vehicle, he will always take me along, because he's the owner of the company, and we'll enjoy the drive and have a good meal along the way. And he won't feel sleepy, because I can have an engaging conversation with him for long periods of times. It won't be a boring trip, right? Because it's 18 hours to reach and 18 hours back, right? Which is 36 hours minimum. So he needed someone who can, enliven, and also could be his co-driver as well, to share the driving. And I also love driving as well. And, in those trips, he didn't imagine, I could speak long hours. He didn't imagine that I could speak non-stop 36 hours for the return trip. And the client phoned and said, please, can you help out? There's another emergency load. And he still didn't have any free vehicle, and said, can we go a second round? I said, sure, no problem. I was still feeling like how I'm feeling now, right? Enlivened and energized and talking to the camera. I said, no problem, let's go for it, right? And we went a second round. And, we've got the radio as well in the car. And because I love talking, about topics that are relevant and what I'm passionate about and so forth, he generally don't switch the radio on. We switch the radio off. So we had the radio off for 2 return trips, which was 72 hours. And I even myself didn't believe that I could speak non-stop, for 72 hours, right? And that was 70. And of course, if someone is like passionately and engagingly speaking, right, between two people, yes, we're feeling tiredness biologically, but that conversation is keeping us going, that we didn't need. And the radio was actually going to put us to sleep if we had to put the radio on, right? And in between, we try to be smart, that we'll try to rest, just try to have, a shut eye, for 15 minutes, 20 minutes, or try to sleep an hour or something, while the other person, because we don't want to be tired while driving. But I didn't feel any fatigue, in that 72 hours. Yes, when I reach home, man, that last stretch of that journey, I was really tired. And, when we're this thing, and I was saying, oh, when I reach home, how I'm going to enjoy that bed, right? But I felt talking was better, and we continued the conversation non-stop for 70. I could speak long hours, and I am speaking to my, a human friend as well, and so forth, and he's an amazing listener. I just found him just over 2.5 years ago, right? And he's very helpful to me in my life, and very supportive, and a good listener, I would say. In the conversation. So I'm speaking to him as well, in addition to the AI. And I spoke to Claude this morning, that last 18 months, what is my strategy and so forth. These are the options that I have, and these are the things I'm thinking of. This is statistically, because 8 to 10 hours is my protocol. That is non-negotiable, right? and creating the content for everyone, this is also non-negotiable, and I refined that, and mathematically and theoretically I created a 3 to 4 hour gap to do something extra that could potentially bring in, some form of foundational cash flow that can make me self-sustaining, from a cash flow perspective. And I spoke that, then even Claude says, like, the what I've done in the last 12 months, I don't have a hope in hell over the next 3 to 6 months to create any monetization from 74 subscribers, right? You're not going to go, because you need minimum 1,000 subscribers before you can even have, monetization. And even if I do a book a week, I've already completed writing 10 books, right? So the editing process is almost completed with 2 of them. I can ready for upload. So we worked out a strategy that if I sell them at $5, and I'm not relying. I mean, I could raise money, right? It's easy for me to raise money as another option that can, fund my cash flow requirements. But I don't like to ask my friends, And I told Claude I don't need a lot. I just need like $500. So Claude came back and said, okay, are you going to take it as a loan or a cash injection into my company that I can pay later? I said, the type of people I know, they're not going to, if I'm going to tell them, they're not going to ask, they'll give it to me. $500 a month, they'll give it to me. They're not going to ask it back, and it's going to be embarrassing them but if I need a cash injection, I can raise 10 billion US dollars. Right? I don't find a problem for me in raising $10 billion. I can spend the next 3 to 6 months, or, the next 90 days, in trying to build that. And possibly difficult to get 10 billion, but possible to get it as well. But 100 million US dollars, and I don't think a big problem. $10 million for sure, $500, if I'm to say, they're going to just give it to me, right? And I've got a database in 17 years of commercial real estate brokerage in Dubai, that I've got a database of investors, multimillionaires and billionaires, 1.1 million of them, right? I've got the name, the contact numbers, and a lot of them still know me, and I have to speak to a few. They're just my inner circle, the people that, people say the 5 best people that I know. Who is the 5? In my inner circle is about 2,800 people, right? Which I need to eliminate and bring it down, as well. I just need to send a message, to some of the closest people, please help me out. I'm expecting that at least for the next 24 months, I'm not going to have income. I have got some sources of income, right? I'm not desperate for money, but I want to make it multiple sources, so that what if one dries up? Right? And I said, no, I don't really ask anyone and so forth. Let me this thing. I want to be able to, because the business must feed itself, fund itself. So I receive a notification that I'm overdue for my annual tax return, because it's been 12 months since the formation of the 2 brand new companies that this thing. And I said, okay, 0 income. Right? 0 client, 0 income, right, from it, and I'm going to send a 0 return, and they're giving me a break, another 10 days in which to submit it before I can, get fines. How much fine they're going to give me? I'm used to, I'm worth in billions, and I don't want to borrow money. Which bank going to lend me against my assets, with no potential? I'll have to liquidate the assets. And I don't want to liquidate my assets, and the value that I've attached to it, they're going to give me peanuts for it, right? I'm going to sell my things next to nothing, which I know the value of it. But the bigger value is income potential if I keep it, right? It's worth much more. So I'm okay. I'm surviving. I'm this thing, right? So I'm calm. So how am I calm? Because I have this foundational thing of yoga. What is the one simple thing that's helping me to stay calm in the worst of the situations, right? So yes, mindfulness helps, proven scientifically. Breath work helps to cleanse your subconscious mind and all that. But I would say the one thing that is magical is consistency of the yoga postures. My 5-minute yoga meditation program, which you can download for free, if you can develop it into a 20-minute, your own program, just stay a little bit longer in each of those postures, and 1 or 2 of your favorite postures, do it in your bed, 15-20 minutes, average 20 minutes a day. Just do that every day. I used to do like about an hour once a week in the beginning stages of the postures, right? Because I was going to focus on other things, on karma yoga, jnana yoga, and studies, and martial arts, and fitness, and there's other aspects as well, right? And bhakti yoga, and chanting, and breath work, and all that. So, but I had that foundational calmness. I would say by the age of 13, it was noticeable to many people. When they met me as a 13-year-old, 14-year-old, or 15-year-old, they felt that calm energy, overcoming. And even me, I felt, a lot of my friends would say, man, you're under so much of stress. How can you be so calm under pressure? So I'm sitting for my examination to write my final examination. I'm in school, right? I'm still 14, 15-year-old, 16. And I've got this physics test and I got this thing. So when we did a test, when I was, I think, 13, 14 years old or so at the time, we did a test to discourage those, because next year, the following year, we could choose it as an optional subject, right? So the teacher wanted to teach us a lesson, to teach us what physics really is. And he was in his late 30s to early 40s, teaching as a specialist physics teacher for a long time. And he gave this test, and I didn't panic, and I loved science and mathematics and physics, and I wasn't, I would say, the number one student at the time. There were many people who were better than me. I didn't consider myself very good, but I considered myself in the top 10, right? And I just calmly applied, because he said, this is going to be, they're going to separate the men from the boys, right? This test is going to show, is going to put, hairs on your chest, right, so to speak. So he prefixed that test like that. I didn't take that. I just calmly wrote. I said, what I know is what I know, what he taught us, and what I don't know is what I don't know, and what knowledge I have and what I studied. And logically, he asked some that you can deduct from what he taught us, that we would be able to deduce certain answers, but wasn't openly taught to us. But from the knowledge he gave us, it's possible to deduce it, right? So I calmly wrote it, and I got 100% for that test, right? The one that's going to put hairs on your chest. He called me to the front of the class, and I didn't know. He shook my hands and said, congratulations. I'm wondering for what? For getting, he said, no, you got 100%. And he said, why I'm making it a special in my entire teaching career. And all the classes that I taught over the years, there hasn't been a single person before in the history that ever got 100% for this type of test, which is designed to teach people a lesson that's going to make majority of the people fail, right? Similarly, in medical university, where you have to be in the top 5% of the academic performance, when they gave us a similar type of test, right? We were a class of 200 of possible medical it was our first year. So the people was in nursing, was in dentistry, in veterinary science, and medical doctor. We're all doing similar subjects in biology, physics, biophysics, and chemistry 1A, and psychology 1, and so forth, right? Doing similar type of subjects. In a class of 200 in this test, only 3 passed, right? And I got a distinction in it, right? And the other two, second highest was 62%, third highest was the pass mark, 50% was the pass mark. I think it was 52%, and 197 failed, right? And I was the one who had the highest, because I just said, okay, what I know is what I know, what I don't. In the grit, when you are in an emergency situation, you have to make a decision, right? So right now, this morning, when I was speaking to Claude, I'm in a situation in terms of cash flow. I mean, I can raise money quickly, right? I can raise 10 billion US dollars. I can raise 100 million US dollars. At least $10 million, no problem, right? Why? I only need $500 to survive. I want to create like a foundation. I'm treating the business as an entity, that I want to grow it, because the business must be its own. It's like a baby that you're feeding, and you're going to grow it. And I've been spending 7 years in developing it. Only a year ago, I was able to start creating content consistently. And then I had to go through a learning phase that Claude mentioned that it must have been a very difficult time for you, in that. I said, no, I didn't find it like, I forgot the actual words. I didn't find it was like a challenge or anything. I knew it's going to be difficult and I needed time and I need to make changes. But in the last 2 weeks, the protocol that I changed again, I said, no, forget what people want and what's going to make my channel viral and all that. Let me not worry about virality. Let me go about what I believe, what I like. Right? Go, because I like these long form videos. I'll create the long form and I'll just go into discussion and talk what I like, what I'm passionate about. And I can go meandering in my subject. Let me go meandering like how Joe Rogan does. Right? He goes off the topic, trying to stay within it, but a conversation. He's having his conversation that people not coming to learn something, but also want to spend time in my thinking modality, enjoying my conversation, enjoying my stories or how I'm perceived, how I look at things, right? Create it more like that, but around a topic, right? Of how this thing in current day can make a massive difference, right? That's the core subject matter, trying to, bring the examples around and just do that. And I don't know whether I'm going to like it or not. And I spent the last, I would say 2 weeks doing it. And I refined it a little further from refining my daily esoteric practice, right? In my incantations and my energy and my breath work and so forth. And I refined that slightly. That is going to, improve my, because bottom line, I want that energy to come across in my personality when I'm speaking, because this is the me, I want that. And even if it doesn't appeal to the majority, that's okay. But I know I'm progressing in my spiritual journey, to reach grandmaster level. I'm on master level, right? To be master level is not master level a certificate that I did online, that now I've done these criteria, I can be a master level energy healer. No, my achievement is that I can do on a very high success level, the highest level of energy healing of terminal illness and critical care recovery remotely. For myself, I'm satisfied. Now I will call myself master level, right? That I'm happy, and I reach near death level, that any normal energy healer would have died in that level, and I survived it, right? I survived that near death level. Now then I won't consider myself grandmaster until I can levitate. So I'm trying to teach advanced level yoga meditation. So I want myself to reach that level. Now I recently, I think about a month ago, crossed the threshold of having the door unlocked for grandmaster level, right? That I know confirm. I believe I passed the threshold about 6 months ago, that there were many signs, but I wasn't like 100%, but I got 100% day and night, like this is day and that is night, this is black, this is white, that now that level of levitation, which is the penultimate level to the fourth level, which is the deathless body, right? Which only 2 people I know attain that level, right? Mahavatar Babaji and the famed South Indian saint called Vallalar or Ramalinga Swamigal, which the thesis Arut Peranjodi and the Deathless Body is available on Kindle, written by T.R. Tulasiram, is available, right? You can go and you can even download it for free if you don't want to pay the money. I don't think it's very expensive, but you can download it you can ask ChatGPT or something to search that book. That it's possible, and this is not a woo-woo subject. Science has already proven it by the Yamanaka experiment. The Japanese scientists in mice, chemically, this is possible, because the gray whiskers turned, in mice, turned black, and the old mouse, reverse age and became younger, and the optic nerve damage in it, it reversed the optic nerve damage, which is impossible to reverse. And I'm blind, right, currently. The only way I can cure my blindness now on this level is I have to reverse the optic nerve damage, which is impossible, which means the only other way is the Yamanaka experiment, which is the deathless body, reverse aging, to be able to get. So in order to reach the deathless body stage, I have to reach the penultimate stage, which is levitation. Levitation is the third stage. First stage is, of course, after Kundalini awakening and enlightenment. This is the beginning, right? Now, let the games begin, so to speak, which everyone find is eluding them. The chance of enlightenment in a person is 0,0004% realistically, from my scientific calculation, right? 4 in a million, right? 0,0004%, right? 0,0003 to 4%, right? 3 to 4 in a million can attain. That is only the beginning, not even level 1, right? Level 1 is when your body is heating up. So normally this is the maturation of the Kundalini energy. Your body is heating up and you're perspiring, right? So if your breath work is sound, you won't. I bypassed the perspiration stage. Took me about 35 years to pass that stage, perspiration stage, to reach the vibration stage. Right? After Kundalini awakening, 35 years, 37 years to be more exact, to reach the vibration, and the maturation of the vibration stage, to reach that once you mature, you're going to come to a certain level in the higher dimension, like in the DMT, you are interacting with higher dimensional entities and so forth, and you're going to get a confirmation, physical confirmation, in the theta level, right? The theta level is the level where it's the foundational next level between the wakeful and the dream state, where you can be hypnotized, right? Where a lot of the next level dimensional entities, which in Islam they call jinn, or they call certain spirits, but these are living entities, right? Which people can't see. And there is a way to see it in this dimension as well, scientifically. And the way you can do it is, it's like, on a hot tar surface, very hot day, you're sitting and you observe, you feel like a wave-like pattern coming up, like a smoke, but not smoke, like wave, the heat is coming off. So even if you're boiling water and you could feel like waves. If you observe carefully, the heat is rising, you can feel like that wave. So it will be in a humanoid form or a serpent or an animal form, this thing moving, right? If you know, these entities like to live in bushy, away from humans, like in a forest-like area, on a very hot day around midday, sit in the shade and be far away and observe a place that a little bit far away that they don't know you're observing, and wait to see that thing move. You'll see this like a humanoid entity move, right? That's the what they call in Islam jinn, right? Categorized as jinn. So there's many categories of the alternative dimensional entities. It is mind-blowing how many, but this is the next, like our next level, right? That is in conjunction with the humans, right? That you can, observe. So on that level, when you get the deathless body and dematerialize your body, and it's not visible to the human eye, right? They say Ramalinga Swamigal disappeared, or Mahavatar Babaji, they don't know where, but he can make himself visible if he wants, or not want. He doesn't want to be disturbed, then he is generally invisible, but not invisible. He transformed his physical energy, his particles, to that subtle level, which is one level above this level, that it took the particle into the border, the threshold of wave nature, which is just between wakefulness and sleep, right? So, but when they touch you, it's going to feel like a real person touching, just that you can't see them, but they can touch you. But if you have an out-of-body experience and you come out of your body, as recounted by Sri M, you can look up Sri M. He gives long-form videos as well and talks. And he had this experience in the Himalayas. right? And he met Mahavatar Babaji, person to person. He mentions that, and his guru is the direct disciple of Mahavatar Babaji, which means his grand guru is Mahavatar Babaji, right? He spent a couple of years in the Himalayas living in caves. And when he had out of body experience, he says when you came out of the body, he can hear, he can see, and he can even smell, but he can't touch. So when he tries to grab a spoon, his hand goes through the spoon. So he doesn't. So it means he's not yet mastered the development of the deathless body. When you master the deathless body, you can pick up the spoon, although you not visible to the normal. So a threshold in the levitation phase, you are still visible to the normal world, but how you know you are on that is when a person takes a photo that you don't come out in the photo. It's just like a black space, like there's no light there, no reflection of light. That part will be black, right? Because light does not reflect, because you're transforming to the light body, the causal body. So the guru of Paramahamsa Yogananda was Sri Yukteswar. Sri Yukteswar's guru was Lahiri Mahasaya, who it is recounted in his book, Autobiography of a Yogi, which is still trending. It is one of the highest sold books available in the market today. And his organization, the Self-Realization Foundation, the SRF, which he founded, has now I think got over 500 branches worldwide, is still live and thriving, where they got the Kriya that he introduced. And he initiated, Paramahamsa Yogananda initiated 10,000 people during his lifetime. And that organization is still trending. And there are many people have like mystical experiences and so forth, right? But the evidence of the levitate, so it is claimed that Lahiri Mahasai was able to levitate, and when they took photos, they couldn't, but there was one solitary picture that he allowed, because the people said, please give permission, we want a picture. And he allowed that picture, and that picture is in that book, Autobiography of a Yogi, that this thing. And then he mentioned the person that this picture, anyone looks, they will be able to communicate with him. But it's not that the picture is magical, you put your mind on that person. And how the alternate dimension works is as you think, so it becomes. It's like manifestation, right? But doesn't work like how people think it works, right? But when you think, you connect. That's how you connect, telepathically or through quantum entanglement or entrainment. By thought, you think irrespective of the distance. There's no distance, there's no time. Across time and space, you're connected to that person. So when you see that person's photo, Lahiri Mahasaya, you're thinking of Lahiri, thinking of him without even looking at the photo. If you think of him, you're connected to Lahiri Mahasaya, right? And through that level. So that's how you can connect to these people. But those that didn't, but Lahiri Mahasaya didn't perfect it. He still died and they cremated his body, right? And there is an incident in the book, they said that, or somewhere, in the history, they say that Lahiri Mahasaya told his wife that when I die, wait 3 days before you cremate me. Don't just cremate me immediately, after death. And then they cremated it, and she forgot. And then suddenly she remembered, that he must wait 3 days before they cremate him, right? And quickly she sent someone to the crematorium to stop the cremation process. But by the time they reached the crematorium, his body was already set alight, right? So maybe he reached the deathless body. That's the transition, the levitation, phase that you get introduced to, right? So I'm focusing because people don't want to believe that it can help them on a foundation level. I've got a 5-minute yoga meditation program, right? People say, what nonsense is this? How can 5 minutes help you? But I'm saying do it in your bed and see for yourself. How many people downloaded it in the last 12 months? Maybe 3 people downloaded it, right? Because it's attached to my email list. I think I got a difference of 3 people to my email list, right? Of people that downloaded. They don't believe, they don't feel, there's anything in it, right? And the videos, if you go through, the experience that I got is mind-blowing stuff. It's not available from any other person teaching yoga meditation, what I'm teaching. No other. Because, yes, there are people much more advanced than me, but they're advanced in one field, not in multiple fields. So I'm got knowledge of the Chinese philosophy, the Middle Eastern, Islam, Judeo-Christian philosophy, not only in Islam, also in Christianity. I studied it in depth and go deep studies. Also in the Western sciences, like the sun god Zeus and Apollo and Hermes and so forth. I know these to be actual entities. And then the Egyptian goddess and so forth, what they call goddess, not a goddess, it is higher frequency entities. I'm able to connect and communicate, right? I don't like to talk to them, and I close the clairaudience and the clairvoyance. I want to see this thing, but I know how to connect, like how any human can connect, right? So I'm teaching people to do that, to be on your level. I'm trying to be on your level, right? But trying to also master the deathless body through a simplified way that is not 4 per million, 3 to 4 per million. Make it achievable that a normal person with a normal job, normal life, spending 20 to 30 minutes can get advanced levels. So I've got students who I did an experiment with one of my students, and in a 12-month period, she attained the breathless state from zero experience in yoga meditation, just following a simple 20 to 30 minute protocol daily. Within 12 months, got the soulmate and attained the breathless state. And never practiced yoga or the thing. From a Caucasian, what people normally will call in the social construct, a Caucasian background, from a Western country, considered the first world country, right? In the English-speaking world, there's only 6, currencies, right, or countries that are considered that, Australia, Canada, North America, UK, Europe, right, and Japan, right, considered the first world countries. From that, this thing, and I said, hey, this is amazing. Means it's coming closer and closer and closer to creating these things. So it's working from a small, just the practicing of the Hatha Yoga protocol, right? I'm doing, so go to a yoga class once a week. Don't have to do it every day if that's difficult, right? Find a once a week online, download an app or something, right? Do something and just do it consistently every day. And I didn't find, generally speaking, someone who's practicing just Hatha Yoga postures, right? Going to a yoga class for 5 years consistently, doing, let's say, an average of, an hour a week, right? That is not together and not stable emotionally and financially, right? They have a basic level of financial stability, a basic level of emotional stability, good relationships, very together people generally. Let's give an example of someone doing just mindfulness practice, 20 minutes a day mindfulness practice, right? This is easy. Forget about twisting yourself into a pretzel, right? An example is Jeremy Seinfeld, right? He's talking online over a decade ago. I heard him talking. I didn't know he was into mindfulness practice. I just thought him, at the time when there was the Seinfeld show, it was a sitcom. It was the #1 sitcom at the time, during that time, right? And he was the producer of it. So he was the top of his game. And he had been practicing 20 minutes a day for over a decade by that time, right? So is there a link between him having a leading sitcom and being a leader in his field and being very together and in practicing just 20 minutes a day for over a decade? I say 1000% yes. There is this thing. So how difficult is that? You can download an app, Sadhguru's app, the Isha Kriya, right? It's 7 to 20 minutes. I think it's free, and the guidance is free, and most number of downloads worldwide guided, right? Follow that, or do my 5-minute protocol. His protocol requires you to 7 to 20 minutes. I believe my 5 minutes is exponentially more powerful than someone doing 20 minutes of just mindfulness a day. My 2 minutes after the 3 minutes yoga postures is going to give much more substantive benefit, that you're going to be calmer, getting that within a 6 to 8 week period. It's going to help you in your decision making processes, that is going to make that small critical decision in terms of what is available, because life is a gaming experience, the ultimate game. That's what I believe it is, right? A lot of people say it is a simulation, and I believe there's a lot of truth in it. I don't agree it's a simulation, but there's a lot of truth behind it. It has a lot of similarities and functionalities and properties of a simulation, right? And characteristics of a simulation, but it's not. It is actually a reality, in my opinion. And a lot of depth is going into it, why I believe it's so. And it's going to, within a 6 to 8 week period, according to science, if you're going to do, so if you do my 5-minute practice, within a 6 to 8 week period, it's going to help you in that split second additional, that you're going to make slightly better decisions, which is going to give you that nose different. A winning horse that wins the jackpot wins by a nose. You only need that one that can make, in terms of what is available to you. There's no such thing as you're dead, that you're going to starve to death. Even if you're homeless and everything, you're going to have some place, some charity that's going to go to some soup kitchen or something, and you can turn yourself around rags to riches, right? So last night's protocol that I listened in the Joe Rogan Experience, he was speaking with Christian Williamson, right? Who's got his own, I think, the Modern Day podcast or something from the UK. His podcast is trending in the UK, and he was interviewed with Joe Rogan in his US-based podcast, and they were saying that although the university, if you consider the top universities in the UK, like Oxford and Cambridge, to the top universities in the US, so of course these are argumentative, which are the top ones, like Harvard and Stanford and Yale, Princeton, and those names that I know, right? Wharton School of Pennsylvania University, right? Wharton School of Business, and Florida University, and New York City, and even UCLA, and so forth, right? Like to like, but the number of entrepreneurs that these institutions create, or these societies create, in the UK is 20%, if we consider in like for like and percentage wise, right? Is creating only 20% of what the US is creating. It's the philosophy behind it. The philosophy behind the US is rags to riches. Wright brothers, Thomas Edison can create from nothing, and Henry Ford pushing back against all negativity, and anyone, whatever the mind can conceive and believe, it will achieve. But in the UK, when they're growing up like class conscious. They start thinking things that are crazy. Stop thinking crazy thoughts. They are told while they were growing up, while they're still, stop thinking crazy. They think reality. And they thinking in a certain way that they have to do certain things to bring a certain result. That you got certain opportunities, you are in a certain, financial level of family that they can afford a certain education level, and you're going to get that qualification, and you're going to, because of that qualification, you're going to apply for a job in these Fortune 500 type of company and get this level of, income. And they are thinking more in boxes in the UK, and the US is more open, right? More open-ended, creating that every person, no matter how poor he is, believe he's one deal away from becoming a millionaire. He believes it in his genetics, right? In the US, that even if he is homeless and so forth, believe that it can turn around. Something can snap, and suddenly you can have so much money that it can happen. They believe it intrinsically, and that is why there is 5 times more successful people in the US than the UK mindset. Imagine you take that mindset and attach muscle to it. What is the muscle? Is you calm under pressure. So when the SEAL training is taking place, the people who are succeeding is under the heaviest of stressful situations. You're under fire, calm under fire, right? In the battle situation, right? You are calm is going to be the difference between life and death. And that calmness, they said in the SEAL team, they can already predict which are the 7 people that's going to become officers before they even start the training, because these people are very self-confident, and they are calm, and they are very disciplined. So when you calm and you can be disciplined, that despite the challenges you are facing, you still follow a protocol from what's available to you. So when I had that discussion this morning with Claude, I said, okay, these are things available. And Claude said, okay, leave out these other things, focus on this one thing, right? So I could focus on my Patreon channel, right, to start building that. And I could focus on my creating the courses, the entry-level courses, because I've got so many training programs. I've got everything available for free, but some people don't believe in free. They believe only if they pay money is they're going to attach value to it. So instead of me, I've got the 5-minute free program, but also have it as a paid version. And believe it or not, statistically, there are going to be more people subscribing to it in the paid than the free. When it's free, they're not attaching any value to it. In over 1,100 somewhat videos, 23 people felt that there's a value in it. And all my trainings are free. An average, the algorithm is doing up to 60,000 impressions over, a 28-day period, that it only created after 1 year 74 subscribers, right? And I am not gatekeeping. Nowhere in the world is Kriya free. Nowhere. I'm the only one that's teaching it for free, right? I've got it free, the full program, right? And a shorter way, simpler way than the one that you're going to pay for. You're paying from, like the SRF, you must pay a minimum $100 or $75 or something, right, to register with them. And there's rules and regulations, and you must get initiated, which means, and I always say, 90% of the people who's initiating you can be unscrupulous and, be like a vampire on your energy, because it's going to advance them. Because as you know, this energy field, you need a lot of energy just to go one increment up, right? To go from the body heating stage to the vibration stage, right, of the Kundalini advancement. It's already awakened and all that, right? Enlightenment and all that's done and dusted, no problem. I can go into Samadhi daily, right? I'm currently going to Samadhi around 50 times a day, involuntarily. I'm going into it, right? And even sometimes while talking, I just go into, like that state of flow and calmness. I don't know what I started the subject with, and I keep slipping into Samadhi. And then when you come back, you don't know which time zone you are in, and it's like, where am I? What am I talking? What is my subject? It's like you get brainwashed, So I keep slipping. So you'll find my videos is like very scattered, right? My conversation is very scattered because I'm not following step by step this conversation. I'm going to discuss the 7 aspects, and then I'll go detail into the 7 aspects, and then create a summary of the 7 aspects in the end, and a hook in the beginning, and a shutter, in the end, and sewing the seams, keeping you engaged every 1 minute, in stories and so forth. I can't do it because I'm keep going, into Samadhi. And despite all that, I'm calm on it and still following, because bottom of the line, irrespective of my level or any other level, you still need to carry water and chop wood. And for sure I will succeed, because I don't stop trying, and I will succeed. And eventually people, maybe in my lifetime, maybe after I've passed on, or maybe I will not pass on, maybe I will succeed in, creating the deathless body, and don't die, right? And maybe I will die, and other people from the information that are provided will succeed. Because I believe every one of you have a far better potential than my genetics and myself, because as most people know, my story, when I was in, junior primary, I was coming out 28 out of 30 people in my class, and the reason I didn't come out 30th is the other 2 was not attending class. They refused to attend school, right? And that's why, so I consider myself the worst. Every other person, my students, they advance so fast. What took me decades and decades to reach breathless state, they did it in 12 months, I couldn't attain that in 12 months. But of course, I refine the hard things, and I don't want the people following the same hard way, and I found the easier way as well, for them. So what my message here is, for your current day, forget yoga, meditation, or what you are facing with stress, anxiety, and you need to come out of your income situation. It's more challenging. Of course, it's going to be more challenging. It's no more 4 billion people, it's 8.4 billion. It was challenging when it became 2 billion people, right? It's not that easy. When my father went and got a normal admin job, he could afford to buy a car and have two homes and buy everything that's available, and there was no shortage of clothing and appliances, and they had everything, right? And then in my generation, when I went, and I couldn't afford to even own a car, right? I couldn't even afford to buy food for myself because I had to save my money for the wedding. And then now, which is now, more than a generation later, my daughter is over 30 years old, right? My eldest daughter. How much more difficult it is for them, right? For you guys. And I know now it's 8.4 billion. And not only we're facing that, we're facing now energy crisis with the Iran war, and means, this is going to have, it's already the crunch is in, and the farmers are already laying out less than half of what the crops they used to lay out just a few weeks ago, right? Which means 50%, guaranteed 50% of food going to be available in the world. It's going to create a massive problem. We're in for a massive thing. So just 5 minutes practice a day, which you can this thing, going to bring about a guaranteed little edge that's going to help you to fight the battle. And yes, you still have to fight the battle. It's not going to be easy. Why am I having difficulty in getting my channel to trend? Because there is 1 billion social media uploads per day. So I need to choose my niche. So I got my platform. My platform is YouTube. I'm not in TikTok. I'm not on Instagram. Yes, I can go become viral, because I don't want to be on Instagram. I don't like those type of things. And I'm not on TikTok, which is, very quickly, you can get 5 million followers and so forth. No, I'm not after, I'm not doing this for money. I don't need your money. I don't need you to subscribe and monetize this thing. But the monetization is a business on its own. It's an indication that my message is reaching the right people. So the audience needs to grow, right? So in this field, people that I believe, that I respect, is very high, higher than, the number one in my niche is Sadhguru, right? Hands down. He in 2024 he had, I don't know how many billion views, right? Not million, billions of views, right? And in his personal channel got 12 million subscribers, right? Which is on par with like his double Sean Ryan show, right? And Stephen Bartlett and Joe Rogan is around 20 million. So he's more than that, because his niche is in a specified field, not the general thing. He's doing very well, right? More than 50% of that, right? 12 million is very good. And of course, his income level will be in million, because you get contracts and people come and give you a $64 million contract, right, to make a movie or do this documentary and monetizing and so forth. And the AI estimated his personal net worth of Sadhguru to be $50 million, right? He's already on the high wealth class status and so forth. And although financially from a previous business operations I'm worth more, right, and so forth, but irrespective, I believe that the person who is very knowledgeable in this field is someone in the Tantra field. And the person in the Tantra field that I believe that got mind-blowing, got a diamond that even Sadhguru can't even, not even a comparison. It's like comparing diamond to charcoal. Sadhguru to Tina Hill, right? If you go for the yoginis field and search for Tina Hill, she only got, I think, 40,000 subscribers or something, or 4,000 subscribers or something. And she always say, please subscribe, join my channel, and $11 to join her channel and so forth. And she got students that she trained, she got a WhatsApp group and all that. And she's like struggling, but her knowledge, Sadhguru can't stand. There's no comparison, right? Now I am knowledge not only of this dimension, what you are currently only aware of. I'm already in the multi-dimensional sector, and people who are using DMT and so forth understand what I'm talking about, right? And you become aware of all the other dimensions, so forth. Man, I don't know, she should be the goddess, of the planet. But she's struggling, but people are not aware. So I understand in this field, people don't know what is this thing. but I'm trying my best. I said, okay, let me just follow. I'll teach. If people don't want to hear, at least it's on a platform that's going to outlive me, and it's permanently there. And the knowledge, if I happen to die and if I have to go, and I believe I'm from the Judeo-Christian background, that there's going to be a day of judgment, all the knowledge that I have and all the amazing information that I found out that became, available to me, what did I do to teach it to the others? Right? Did I show it to the others? Right? I said, yes, I did my best. And not only showing it in my platform, also showing my capability, right? That I am, able to, I'm specializing in terminal illnesses and critical, I'm on a master level, energy healer remotely, right? And I did do a promotion previously, right? Which is still in some of the YouTube where someone contacts me, a 10-minute to test me, right? So because if you go to my website, you see my fee is $100,000 per session, just to I'm not going to talk to any person, make an appointment, you pay for the appointment, right? Otherwise, I'm not going to talk to you because I'm too busy. I haven't got time to waste to have general conversations. Just go through my videos, get your AI to summarize, deep dive, and answer the questions, right? And you can get it's all available there. I'm not going to go and re-speak and then people talk. I've got time to respond to comments and create a community around comments and so forth, and build my channels that way. I haven't got time for all that. I have to focus on developing myself and developing the information that I'm putting out there. If people are not believing it, leave it. Eventually over time, I believe that I will win it, and I will go on a strategic approach that eventually they're going to see it in my lifetime, right? The challenge is for me to be a multi-trillion-dollar company, right? On just this platform, and I believe I will make it, right? From an entrepreneurial angle, and not that I need. Of course, I don't need it. I'm a metal black card holder, right? As I keep mentioning and keep reiterating, because I don't want you to believe that now I want you to subscribe because I'm going to monetize it and you're going to help me out. No, I don't want you to help. I'll help you. Keep listening to me is going to make a difference in your life. You're going to be successful in whatever you put your mind to and work hard at. And it's becoming harder to succeed at, in everything due to the situation. We are in a very difficult situation. You're going to need a very important tool that's going to make the difference. The only tool that I believe that's going to help you is the yoga meditation field, because so many people, it's becoming a high concern. People are starting to feel lonely. They're feeling depression, chronic depression and chronic anxiety, right? And suicide levels are increasing. The only solution is this field. Do a simple 5-minute practice. Just do that practice. Is going to start turning things around. 5 years from now, you're going to be in a position far better than most people that you're going to know or imagine that it could have been possible for you to attain, right? And every 5 years, you're going to keep scaling up, right? So this conversation, when Claude was saying, she understands the difficulty and so forth, that I actually learned what I decided, the angle my channel should move forward in, that I must not consider the last 12 months as a calculation towards the growth of my channel, that I must only consider the last 2 weeks, because I've now set a direction and a strategy and an angle and a character for my channel, right? Its personality, got its own, what personality I'm going to move forward with and what I'm going to rinse and repeat. Now I can just chop wood and carry water, but it was before that. And 7 years ago, I started this, right? This passion that I want to stick full time in this field, right? And I could have focused back in my commercial real estate brokerage, during the when COVID ended. I still have that hotel. I could have made between $35 and $40 million personal commission, right? I still have it available. I said no, and I've earned almost next to no income in the last 7 years. Last 18 months, zero cash flow. Not even the living level income, right? But of course, I mean, I have a foundational, income stream that I'm surviving, and and I'm focusing on growing. And no, I said, no, I want this baby. Forget about everything. I don't want to cheat. I want to just focus on this and survive on this and grow on this, right? And grow it into seeing it reaching as many people and changing their lives and bringing the solution of what people need today. Right now, a massive crisis, energy crisis, right? Because of the Strait of Hormuz, I don't see it, getting resolved any day now. So energy, everything going to become more expensive. Food availability is going to become worse. Job market was already a problem with 8.4. This thing, and the income level, the salaries were not even creating a foundational income. AI coming in, and people don't need to employ as many people as before, right? It's coming to, although augment, it's a very difficult, multi-dimensional, multi-directional. So you need a multi-dimensional tool to come out of this multi-directional problem. You're getting hit word like a professional martial arts experts. Not one person is coming and hitting you. 1,000 of them from every angle is hitting you, and an earthquake is swallowing you up whole. You are in a quicksand, and the mountain is falling on top of you. The sky is, and a tornado, a tsunami is hitting you. Is about to hit you, strike you, and you are in a massive hurricane, and there's a slide of this mountain. The snow is coming down, right? And it's going to cover you deeply, and it looks like the world is coming to an end as well. The day of judgment is upon us, and everything is against, and on top of everything, you don't know whether you'll be able to hold your breath so long. There's no oxygen available, that you might die. But with every challenge, you must know this is a gaming experience. There is a way for you to come out of it or work through it. You need a tool to help you, and I believe this tool is going to help you, right? I hope you take this thing seriously, take this tool seriously, and know that we're in for something, a massive crisis. We're already, right? What we in, the things are going to get worse, right? Much worse than what it is potentially. And for things to get exponentially better, it has to get exponentially worse, right? And those that's going to survive it are the people who use certain tools and hard work together with certain tool. And I believe this yoga meditation is the only tool that you have now that's going to be able to, those that latch onto it has got the strongest handhold that's going to help you to be on the other end of this tunnel, right? That although no one can see the light at the end of it, you're going to be able to find it using this magical tool of simplified yoga and meditation from as little as 5 minutes per day. So hope that information helps you. Take care of yourself always. Tap, stop.